Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Gaur Premanande.
Hare Hare Bol.
It's time for Bhagavad Gita class. yesterday and today is a class by Vishal.
Hare Krishna. So if I can ask everybody to turn this way towards the speaker so that we'll have a speaker here. And today's class will be given by His Grace, Bhakti Vishal Prabhu. So everybody give a loud Haribol, Haribol. Please give him his support, love, encouragement. Vishal hasn't given a class in some time, but I'm sure with your loving support and encouragement, he'll do just nicely. And I'll hand you over to Vishal, and we'll start with some Jai Radha Madhava. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So we'll just start with Jai Radha Madhava prayers, and if you know, clap along, sing along. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribol, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribol. Shri Radha Gokulananda Bhagwan ki, Jai Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai. So today we'll be reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, which is entitled The Opulence of the Absolute. And we're reading from the 9th verse. So that's chapter 10, text 9. So I'll just recite the Sanskrit first. And if you have your phones, you can find the verse and also repeat it afterwards. So that's chapter 10, text 8. Aham sarvasya prabhavo matta wrong verse. Machita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha machita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha Machita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Machita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Machita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. So word for word translation. Mat chitta, their minds fully engaged in me. Mat gata prana, their lives devoted to me. Bodhayantaha, preaching. Parasparam, among themselves. Kathayantaha, talking. Cha, also. Mam, about me. Nityam, perpetually. Tushyanti, become pleased. Cha, also. Ramanti, enjoy transcendental bliss. Cha, also. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. You can repeat after me. So, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me. So, purport. So, pure devotees whose characteristics are mentioned here engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. Their talks are solely on the transcendental subjects. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse specifically. Devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing Him with other devotees. In the preliminary stage of devotional service, they relish the transcendental pleasure from the service itself, and in the mature stage, they are actually situated in love of God. Once situated in that transcendental position, they can relish the highest perfection which is exhibited by the Lord in His abode. Lord Chaitanya likens transcendental devotional service to the sowing of a seed in the heart of the living entity. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe, and out of them there are a few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get the chance to understand devotional service. This devotional service is just like a seed, and if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that seed fructifies, just as the seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering. The spiritual plant of devotional service gradually grows and grows until it penetrates the covering of the material universe and enters into the Brahma Jyoti effulgence in the spiritual sky. In the spiritual sky, also that plant grows more and more until it reaches the highest planet, which is called Goloka Vrindavan, the supreme planet of Krishna. Ultimately, the plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of Krishna and rests there. Gradually as a plant grows fruits and flowers, that plant of devotional service also produces fruits, and the watering process in the form of chanting and hearing goes on. This plant of devotional service is fully described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 19. It is explained that when the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in love of God. Then he cannot live even for a moment without being in contact with the Supreme Lord, just as a fish cannot live without water. In such a state, the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord. The Srimad Bhagavatam is also full of such narrations about the relationship between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Therefore, the Srimad Bhagavatam is very dear to the devotees, as stated in the Bhagavatam itself. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam. In this narration, there is nothing about material activities, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord and his devotees is fully described. Thus, the realized souls in Krishna consciousness take continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literatures just as a young boy and girl take pleasure in association. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Rupa Shri Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padhan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, very grateful for this opportunity to give class. It's a very nice service because it's very beneficial for me, for my own purification, and hopefully it will also be useful for all of you, whatever I may say. It may benefit you in some way. So I'll just get started. Okay. So basically in this chapter, the subject matter is all about the pure devotees of Krishna. And it speaks about the characteristics of the devotees, their internal consciousness and also their external activities also. So it is described in this verse that first the internal state is described. So it is said that they are always absorbed, their thoughts are always absorbed in Krishna. So mentally they're always thinking about Krishna. I said mat chitta, their minds are fully engaged. And also their lives, mat gata prana, their lives are also fully devoted to serving him. And what does serving mean, Serve has a really negative connotations in this world nowadays, Servant is like a low position, it's considered like that. But service is basically means to serve someone, means to satisfy someone, to please somebody, right? We all want to please everyone. It's actually our condition. We all want to serve our family, we want to please our friends, family, country, society, etc. So the service quality is naturally there within all of us. It's part of our nature to serve someone at least. And you can see that even in today's world, if someone's not married or something, if they don't have a husband or a wife, they somehow are still serving someone, even though they may not be serving their partner, wife or husband or family members. They can't help but keep a pet or something, They have to have some object to serve, to satisfy. So it seems that it's actually like a inherent nature in our it's innate in us to actually want to serve and to give love and to receive love also from others. So this loving propensity is there naturally in all of us. But then from Bhagavatam and Srimad Bhagavad Gita, we can understand that the highest object of love, the highest object of service is not just friends and family and society and some ideology or something, but it's actually higher service is actually to serve God, serve the Lord, serve Krishna. And because we're all parts and parcels of Krishna, right? So just like you have like a machine, there's like a cog in the machine. That cog in the machine is serving the whole of the machine, like that. So like that we can understand that being parts and parcels of the supreme infinite person, we're also meant to be in connection be in union, or yoga actually means union, so be in communion with the Lord like that. And because we understand that actually God is not just some energy, actually, many people think that God is just some light and you can't describe him, just Brahman, there's just some energy. But actually, Srimad Bhagavatam is very clear that God is actually a person, that it's not just some energy or some light, So it's described, like even Prabhupada actually, he wrote a poem once that the absolute truth is sentient, like that, in one of his poems to his spiritual teacher, Bhaktivedanta Thakur, whose disappearance day was yesterday. He wrote a poem to him that, absolute is sentient, in this sense. So if God is complete, if the absolute truth is complete, then it must also contain personality. Because if it doesn't have personality, how can it be complete? That is showing that actually we have something more than what God has, right? We have personality, so why is that God doesn't have personality, right? So in this way we can understand that actually, God, or the Supreme Person, Supreme Absolute Truth, is ultimately a person, like that. Therefore, because God is a person and we are parts and parcels of him, we have a function, and our function, our Sanatana Dharma, our eternal duty is to serve God, is to love God. But somehow or other, we have forgotten our position, that who we are. We forgot that we are the soul, that we think we're this body in this material world, just existing and, just struggling for survival. The cost of living is so high nowadays, just to even survive is like, so that's all our energy is dedicated to now. And but actually there's more to life than just existing, right? Existing means, you're paying the bills, you're paying for your house, food, but is that what all life is about? No, life is about living, right? So how do we live? It goes beyond, beyond just the material necessities, and actually fulfill something that fulfills the heart. And we can understand that actually to fulfill the heart, we need to have a connection with the spiritual reality, with Krishna and the spiritual world. And here we're looking at the examples of pure devotees who have attained that state of consciousness, that original pure self, pure being, pure state of mind, pure soul consciousness, like that. And so it describes what they are like, and it said that they're fully dedicated their lives to Krishna service only. Whereas we in the material world, we have so many other, we're dedicated to so many other things in the world. Family, wealth, society, some maybe political agendas or whatnot, many different football clubs or etc. many different things in the world where we may be engaged in, completely forgetting, bewildered in those activities and forgetting our real purpose of life. And the whole goal of the Krishna consciousness movement is to actually reawaken people to their original identity, that we're not the body, but we're actually the spirit soul beyond the body, and like that, and to awaken and to become pure. Like right now we are at least I am unpure, right? We have so much contamination with so many attachments to the world, so many unwanted things in the heart, so much going on inside. So we want to free ourselves from all these things, and so we can look to the examples of the pure devotees, the purified souls, and see how far we are, and make a judgment like that, and how we can progress towards them, and how we can follow in their footsteps to come to that pure state of existence. So it said that so the devotees, their lives are fully dedicated to Krishna's service. They fully realize that goal of life, and they're completely connected with Krishna, like that. So here we can see that the devotees, they're always thinking about Krishna, And they're always talking about Krishna. They're always enlightening others and other devotees about Krishna. So we can see that there's a relationship here, right? What's inside our mind, we also manifest that and express that externally. So whatever is in our mind, whatever we're thinking, whatever we're feeling, that will ultimately, we meditate on it so much that we actually end up acting it out. So for example, so many cool movies out there, Marvel and all these things, really superhero movies like that, we may really like hearing about watching these things, and we love it so much that when we see our friends who are also into it, we're always discussing it, oh my god, this character was so cool, look how he defeated this villain, or etc. So we naturally talk about these things, right? Whatever our object of meditation is, we tend to describe it, we tend to glorify it, we tend to go deeper and deeper into it like that. But here we can see actually the pure devotees, their object of meditation is not something material. Their object of meditation is on Krishna's pastimes. What is he doing? Because he's actually the best superhero, compared to all these fake movie characters. So you can get so much enjoyment from just hearing about Krishna's life, how he lifted the whole Govardhan hill, which is like massive, spans like miles and miles, just with his pinky finger of his left hand, like that, without any effort. So many wonderful stories of Krishna, like that. Now, so the pure devotees, they're always meditating on this, and they're experiencing such a great bliss and happiness from this satisfaction. Whereas, when we talk about movies from Marvel and DC, there's some happiness there, because ultimately everything is reflected from Krishna. Everything we see in this material world is a reflection of Krishna's beauty, like that. So there's some tinge of that in this world, for sure. But it's not the same, it's not in its full manifestation. So when we talk about material subjects, it doesn't have the same taste to it. It doesn't have the same, it's limited. So you can only get limited happiness from material topics. So many topics to gossip about, or etc. There's only so much happiness you can get from it. And also all the material things in the world, eating, sleeping, drinking, drugs, all these things people are doing nowadays. How much happiness can you actually get from it, right? How much food can you eat until you become, you start hurting? And how much can you drink? How much can you smoke? Ultimately, it all has consequences, like that. So the material activities in this world, they all have consequences, side effects, and if we discuss about material topics a lot, we kind of become more and more entangled in these things. All these material activities we become entangled in, and what's the consequence of this is that we become attached to the material world more and more. We meditate on it more and more. And actually, there's a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8.6. It says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatya ante kalevaram tam evati kunteya sadatad bhava bhavita. So Krishna here is saying that whatever our state of consciousness, whatever is in our mind at the time of death, right, that's what will carry on in our next life. So whatever is in our hearts, that's where we'll go in our next life. The soul is eternal. Whatever desires we're holding on to, that's what Krishna will arrange for us to be fulfilled in our next life. If we're choosing meditating on material topics all the time, talking about material things all the time, then in our next life, we'll come back here and to try and enjoy those things again, and end up frustrated again, because the enjoyment in this material world is always leads in frustration. You try to enjoy, right? You have a dream job. We all have this dream idea, what we want to do in this world, and we don't even get the dream job, to boom, that's a frustration right there. And we may get what we want as well in the material world. We may get that dream job we wanted. And but we realized actually it's not what we thought it was. It's not. It's not really making me happy. Or the happiness that is there is only limited. It doesn't give you so much happiness; it runs out. Or we find that dream job, and we realize actually along with that dream job there comes so much more hassle and problems and things like that. Along with that happiness, whatever it was we're looking for, so much problems attached to those things. So we always end up in frustration in this material world. So as a result of our meditation on material things, we become more and more entangled in this material world, taking birth again and again and again and again, repeatedly, so many times, always being frustrated in our search for enjoyment and happiness. And like that. But however, the devotees of Krishna, they are because they are always meditating on Krishna and his divine pastimes, his transcendental pastimes, because they're fully connected to that spiritual realm, to that spiritual consciousness. When they die, they'll enter into Krishna's world, into the spiritual world, Vaikuntha, or even further, Goloka Vrindavan, where they can personally be with Krishna, like that, in a spiritual body, which is free from all birth, death, disease, and old age, like that. So that way we also become blissful as well. We attain our real, because with this body there's so many problems attached, so much suffering. You see, like there's so many ways to, there's not many ways to actually give pleasure to the body. There's more ways you can harm the body than you can do pleasure, right? There's so many problems associated with the body all the time. How much can you enjoy this body? There's always a limit. But with the spiritual body, it doesn't have these restrictions and limitations, where you can constantly enjoy having a relationship with God, like that. So the devotees, the pure devotees of God, because they have this spiritual consciousness, they carry that with them even after the body breaks down, and the soul continues its destination whatever the meditation of the heart is. So if the meditation of our heart is to be with God, then that will follow in our next destination, like that. And so then later on, Prabhupada starts to describe the process of devotional service, process of bhakti yoga. So in the second paragraph, he says about how one can, so there's like a beginner stage of practicing yoga, then that becomes mature in our, in the later stages, it becomes perfected. So the preliminary stage and the mature stage. So once we have it's like compared, so Prabhupada here describes it like a seed. So the seed in the beginning, it's just a seed. It needs watering, it needs looking after, it needs protection, it needs all these things so that it can be cultivated nicely, so it can grow nicely. So our bhakti is also like that. We need to really look after our practice like that, so make it really strong, etc. So once this seed grows and grows more and more, it said it actually penetrates all the material coverings of the universe, and it actually enters the spiritual realm, this seed which is connected to us. And that seed goes on beyond this material universe into the Brahma Jyoti, which is like this spiritual light and all these things. And it goes even further beyond the Brahma Jyoti into the spiritual world, like that, where it enters into Goloka Vrindavan under the shelter of Krishna, like that. So yeah, that's the process. So we want to water this seed more and more, and thus this seed is watered by the process we've been recommended in this day and age, is chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which waters this seed of devotion more and more, like that. But how do we even get this seed? It's very, rare to get the seed in this world, seed of bhakti. Here Prabhupada describes from the Chaitanya Charitamrita verse that it's actually verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita is Brahmande Brahmite kon bhagyavana jiva Guru Krishna prasade paye bhakti lata bija. So who is bhagyavan? Who is actually fortunate in this world? What is real fortune? And real fortune is described that is to receive this seed of devotion by a spiritual master. So because of our karma in this world, we are moving and transmigrating through so many different lives, so many different bodies, experiencing so many different things based on our own activities and reactions. And we suffer so many consequences, good and bad from all these things, but nonetheless we're still trapped in this world. But who's the person who's actually fortunate in this world? Is the person that receives this seed of bhakti by meeting a pure devotee of Krishna, who implants that seed within, sows that seed within his heart. And just find it quickly, sorry. So here Prabhupada says there are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe, and out of them there are a few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get the chance to understand devotional service. And as we follow this process of bhakti, we grow that seed more and more. And that seed, the first stage, there's 9 stages described of this path of devotional service, bhakti yoga. And it starts with faith, shraddha. So having faith is actually the beginning, is the foundation of us advancing in our Krishna consciousness. So faith, shraddha, it doesn't just mean having faith, but it also, another definition for also is appreciation and having curiosity and interest in spiritual topics. It's like that, just a different angle to it. Then as we have faith, then we naturally, when we have faith, we want to hear more about these topics, to hear this, we go to hear from different devotees, we listen to Srila Prabhupada's lectures, or associate with different devotees where we can cultivate this seed more and more and nourish that seed within ourselves like that. And as we associate more, we want to actually, we hear so much about, the goal of life is to serve Krishna, right? So let's actually try it. Let's try and serve Krishna. So we may come to the temple and do some volunteering, to actually try and serve Krishna in some way like that. And as a result of that, we get some taste. So just as these pure devotees, obviously they're on a completely different level to us. But Prabhupada says that even in a neophyte stage, even in a beginner stage, we can still experience some bliss. Like once I was doing book distribution, distributing Bhagavad Gita in Southampton. It's a really nice experience. And there's a verse from Bhagavad Gita that says that the most dear person to me, Krishna speaking, is the one who spreads this message to my devotees, who can't remember exactly the verse, but something like that. So Krishna is happy when we try to enlighten and discuss these topics with others, because we're all children of God, right? So God loves everyone, so He wants everyone to experience even greater level of happiness, but due to our stubbornness or etc. like that, we don't want to come closer. But giving that opportunity to others, Krishna becomes happy. So after this experience of book distribution in Southampton, I just suddenly started feeling like this great happiness from inside. And I was like, it's not coming from me, It wasn't me. But I was like, why am I so happy? It's such an interesting experience. And I asked my friend, why am I so happy? I don't get it. I was just like beaming, and I was like, so much ecstasy. It felt like completely beyond. I asked my friend, what's going on, man? Why am I so happy? Then he said, you're not happy, it's because Krishna's in our heart. He's happy that you're pleasing him, so he's happy. And we're experiencing a drop of his happiness. Like that. So when we serve Krishna, our happiness comes from serving Krishna, not independently. So, yeah, by serving Krishna, we naturally become happy. So it's really interesting that, and these pure devotees, because they're completely beyond the ego, that they're completely beyond I, me, mine, and seeking happiness just for me, my body, my senses, my mind, my intelligence. And it's beyond just them, and they're connecting to Krishna, and so their happiness, they experience a drop of Krishna's happiness, and that actually sustains them, that actually gives them that great bliss. And as we do more, so we can get this taste even in a neophyte stage, and obviously that's even higher in a more advanced stage. And the next stage, obviously, after doing some service, we naturally are connecting more and more with our original nature, our Sanatana Dharma, our eternal function, our eternal purpose. As we're doing this more and more, it's like we're awakening our spiritual memories, right? So we're connecting more and more to the soul. It's like an amnesiac patient. Sometimes someone has amnesia and they can't remember who they are. And their family members come to see them, and still they don't recognize the family members. But then they get the amnesiac patient because maybe he used to play the piano, to go in front of the piano and try to play the piano again. And naturally he starts playing the piano so naturally. And by getting him to do all the activities that he was used to in his original self, like that, he starts to remember slowly and slowly, gradually, who he is. So just like that, it's the same thing in the spiritual service, is that we all have amnesia. We all have forgotten. We're bewildered in this material world, thinking that we are of this world, we are this flesh, bones, this person. But actually we've forgotten that we are actually servants of Krishna, and we've forgotten our position like that. So by doing devotional service, we are reigniting those memories, spiritual memories, more and more like that. And by performing devotional service, we become more and more purified, and we become more and more steady in the practice, and gradually become more and more attached, and we gain more and more taste, and we eventually awaken our dormant love for Krishna. So we can see that in this verse that bhakti, there's three steps, three processes of bhakti, and it's on the mental. First, it's on the emotional, mental level. Then there's an expression, and there's the action. And so, there's the mind, there's our words, and our actions. And when all of these are dedicated, we can become more and more pure, like that, internal and external, both like that. So, an example of a pure devotee is obviously Mother Yashoda, Krishna's mom, Krishna's mother, right? So she's actually always absorbed about Krishna. For example, when she's churning butter, right? She's making butter for Krishna. So she's churning the butter. She's thinking, oh, this butter is going to taste so good for my son. He's going to really enjoy it. He's going to, like that. And in her mind, she's thinking that, right? And in her activities, she's doing that. And while she's doing that, she's always singing about Krishna. So like that, we can see how pure devotees are like. And in doing so, she's actually in great bliss. And also another example we can think of is our Srila Prabhupada. Even at the moment of his death, Srila Prabhupada, he was on his deathbed, and he was not in pain. He was beyond all the physical pains of the bodies. Even at that time, he was still translating Srimad Bhagavatam. You can even find the videos online, how the dictaphone is on his mouth, and he's practically about to die. And yet still he's going beyond all the pains and troubles of the body, because he's connected to something so much higher, so much deeper. And like that, he's able to constantly relish Krishna Katha. So when we absorb ourselves in the transcendental pastimes, name, fame, form, seeing the deities with our eyes, hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, tasting prasadam, this awakens the soul more and more. And that way, by glorifying Krishna, we become purified, like that. And purified means, what does purification means? It means to remove all the things that are contaminating, right, that are foreign to the pure substance, for example. So removing all the unwanted things in the object. So when we hear more and more Krishna Katha, we can awaken more and more our spiritual nature, like that. So when Krishna is glorified, we're purified. That. And, and we can also discuss this with others. We can discuss about Krishna Katha, and this way you can also have really nourishing spiritual relationships, because it's beyond just the material body. It's beyond topics of the mundane topics, mundane news, like that, and therefore it connects us on a much more spiritual level, so we can have even deeper friendships and spiritual relationships, because we're looking out for each other, not just on a physical level or emotional level or intellectual level, but rather on a very deep spiritual level, like that, for our best interest. And so that's, and when devotees, like pure devotees, they are sharing their experiences. They're not just sharing like what they remembered, what knowledge they have, like many scholars do, in like debates and things like that. But actually, they're sharing their own experience with Krishna, their own experience of Krishna, and how much they love Krishna and all these things. So in that way, they're not just sharing knowledge, but they're actually sharing bhakti. Bhakti is not just a material thing. It's not actually part of this world. It's love. Love doesn't exist in the material world actually, but it's coming from the spiritual world. So they actually, when we discuss these topics, we're actually giving each other love, like that. So so we should try our best to more and more become more attracted to Krishna Katha and transcendental topics about Krishna, and that way when we bathe our consciousness, our mind and our senses in these things, they become purified. And bhakti isn't like I said, it's not part of this world. So because it's a transcendental, it's beyond the material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, these material energies. So by being connected, being in contact with the bhakti shakti, bhakti energy, which is beyond, it's a spiritual energy, we can actually rise above the material world. So we can be so connected that we can be in this world but not be affected by it. And we can rise above all the difficulties of this material, the material world presence, like that. Thank you so much for your kind attention and for this opportunity to speak on Bhagavad Gita. If you have any questions, we have a few minutes, I think like 3 minutes, if we can take questions or comments, or if you have any pastimes of Krishna you can share, that would be really nice as well. We can any favorite pastimes of Krishna anyone has? Oh, Mataji, yes. What's the story? What would you like to share? Oh, he's just getting the mic, so.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for giving the wonderful class. I just heard only for 10 minutes only. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for giving a wonderful class. So, I would like to share about the Krishna's pastime about the Kaliya Daman story. Is it okay?
Yeah, if you make it like 1 minute, because
1 minute.
yeah.
So I think everyone knows about the Kaliya story, like how he has a venom, like, you know, and because I like the Krishna's killing the like trying to tell the like you come out from this Yamuna river because you are giving the poisonous in this river, and and from this story we can learn, like, you know, the how the Krishna's giving us mercy. Sometimes as a bhakti we do more bhakti, so our the lust, anger, and that's the 6 things that's come out, like, you know, is when we do the more bhakti. So is the Kaliya is just he punished by the, like, you know, this fight with them, and he understood, like, you know, what's the power of the Lord Krishna, and he's just bow down to the Krishna and he surrendered to Krishna. Then Krishna relieved, like, you know, he just say, okay, you can go now, but, you know, I'm gonna dance on your hood, so that my footprints on your hood, and the Garuda will not kill you. So that footprint we can think about, like Krishna's, like on our head, like, you know, how we put the tilak. So that is the represents, like, you know, we are the Krishna's devotee, we are surrendered to Krishna.
Cool.
So this is the main things we can learn from this pastime. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah, just like I remember that chanting Hare Krishna is like when Krishna dances on the hoods of the Kaliya, so we also have to make Krishna dance on our mind. So all the venom kind of comes out, all the poison, all the... Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's time for Gaura Aarti, so I'll just end the class here. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai. Jai.
Please do come forward for the Gaura Aarti. Jai Shri Shivada Gokulananda ki, Sisi Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. So as the Aarti ceremony is being performed, we'll be singing this song, the Gaura Aarti song. That's there on your right hand side, on the ceiling there. And the lead singer will sing one line at a time. If you can follow the lead singer, and then we'll go on to chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandir Arati Kasoba. Jaya Jaya Gaura Chandir Arati Kasoba. Jaya Gaura Chandir Arati Kasoba. Janave Tatavane Jagamana Lobha. Janavi Tatavane Jagamana Lobha. মাথায় চাঁদ আমে গদাধারা নিকায়তে অদ্বৈতাসিনী পাশ ছত্রধারা